Hello, procrastinators, and welcome to Nerd³ Makes. Today, we will be having a look at Systems Nominal. This is sort of a developer commentary series where I'll talk through some of the ideas and things that came up and the things that happened during the creation of Systems Nominal, which I'm kind of calling my first proper game. Like, the other one was that polished prototype. This is a proper, full-on, actual, look, I can make games sort of thing. It's linked in the description, completely free if you want to get it. Thousands of you, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have already played it, and can they all be wrong? Well, look how many followers Justin Bieber has. Yes, they quite clearly can, but some people like it, so fuck it. Let's get it started up. Let's get it booted up. I think that's the one I have to boot up. Ah, lovely. Open a shot of space, which I made in Photoshop, and my lovely logo with Dan Ball singing that echoes away into the distance. I quite like this as a start. It's completely skippable with literally any key on the keyboard. Oh, that was really important for me to get that up there. Just at the very start of the game, go, Bush, go, do this. Even like, because I've had a look, I've pretty much watched like most of the Let's Plays that have been made about this game, and most of them do eventually get people to go and get the game. It's great. Let's Plays are fantastic for advertising your game. So getting that up there going, look, and loads of people have started like channels with this game, because it's like the first game that's gone, hey, make videos with this. I think that's a really cool idea. So I want more devs doing that. Have it just there as the game boots up. So yes, tick, smiley, congrats. The best thing about this game was that bit there. So my opening, this bit may look a little bit different to yours because I've actually unlocked Endless Mode because I'm one of the few people that's actually finished this game. It's not what a lot of people are expecting. A lot of people are expecting something goofy, something light, and something like quite simple. And I gave them something quite simple, but I kind of made it dark. I kind of wanted to do... I was quite deliberate to get a bit darker. Like, Systems Nominal was originally not Systems Nominal. It was originally a game called How to Job. You may have heard of it. It was the same sort of thing. You pushed a key on the keyboard, and a little dude, because it was sort of like a 2D cutaway of an office block, and you were moving a little dude around an office to try and get him to do all the jobs. But it was really hard to say, like, where he needed to be and, like, his little transitions moving around. So after a little while, he was teleporting, and it just didn't quite work. It never quite got together. And I never really, it didn't click. And I had a little test thing where I was actually setting this up, and I gave each button a little click and made, like, a little key indent, just, like, for a working keyboard. And it looked really nice, and I went, I should do something with this. And then that eventually expanded into trying to save people on the spaceship. But no, so this is what How to Job was originally going to be. And I crippled that idea and broke its legs and released something else, which is quite nice. Music loops. It didn't for a while. There's a little tiny decisions you make in game making I had literally no idea about. Having the music not loop, I found really irritating. Having it loop, I found irritating, but less irritating in this opening menu. And very, very, very few people actually see that, so... yeah. So this was How to Job, which was sort of a light comedy game, and it became something quite dark. It's a bit like 24, because like the original plan for the series 24, the spy thriller, Jack Bauer, shooting terrorists and stuff, shot in real time. It was originally going to be a romantic comedy set 24 hours before a wedding. I believe this is true, and it was supposed to be this romantic comedy that sort of eventually became this spy thriller, which I like that. I like things that change around, because that just happens sometimes. You get a better idea, and it's sort of, you snowball, you keep the best bits, and you ditch the bits that aren't working. That's a good thing to do, throw away ideas that aren't working. Even if you love the idea, and I love the idea of How to Job, I've got some other ideas. For that character, I quite like a little character design. He'll be back in some way at some point. So, right, a few things are important. If you push the escape key now... game closes. Very important for me. I love it when that happens. I just like being able to I can get out of a game by mashing the escape key. If I'm bored, I'm like, nah, and the game's gone. That's really quite important to me. That's skippable at any point. Also important, little cross thing up here closes the game. That's only because, like, I had it so you just could push escape, but I never told anyone you could push escape. So if people were playing this in full screen, they wouldn't be able to see the little cross in the corner, so I had to add one. That was something that came in quite late. How to play. Let's do how to play. So the tutorial, it's slightly laggy. Like, I had to really, like, glitch this into working. Seriously, just to try and scroll through things. This was one of the hardest things to build in the entire game. And you'll notice, I'll click right through to the end, the menu pops up a little late. See that little pop-up there? Yeah, and it pops away a little late compared to everything else. There's just, trying to set this up, saying, look, if I click this, go to the next one. When I click it in Construct 2, which I built this in, the click counted like infinite times on that point, essentially. It counted it was being held for some reason, and I could never work it out. So I put in a tiny, like, something of a second delay every time you click next before it actually is on the next one. It reveals what's next, but the buttons don't work yet. So you can't just mash your way through it because it takes a little time for them to work. Which is fine. It's a way around. I kind of like this tutorial idea. I like the... I think I should have learned a little more, but I like having the bits in focus that I want you to be looking at. It explains it quite well. Nobody looked at this. When you do look at this, it's good. You know how to play, but until that point, not many people really looked at this, explaining all the points. I didn't even have to say, these are your lives, because you could work that out if I just indicate them here. So it was a little bit of hoping people are clever enough to get this. Failure to do so in time is a sentence that I had so many troubles with. I still don't think that's right. And I think there's a few spelling mistakes and things in here, because I'm rubbish. And this is your crew evacuating. That's one of the main fuck-ups of this game, is I should have said your crew are evacuating on the thing somewhere, because a number of people left. A lot of, like, the people who played the game, and, like, most of the feedback I got was watching the Let's Players play this game, thought that was people dying and they couldn't work out how to save people. I had no idea that was going to be the case, but so next time, if it's a thing that's specifically happening, assume that people don't know that and give that information elsewhere. That was something I really should change for the next time. Let's go back to the menu. There's not much to say here. The options. I really like how I did these options. Having these work different. These originally were sliders and I didn't like them. It's too many options. Like, sliders are too many options. You really only ever want, because you'll be able to change your volume. Most people just change their volume as they go. So off, low, medium, high works well. The game's actually built in 720p. It's not a 1080p game. You can run it in full screen and everything should scale up okay with a little bit of anti-aliasing. But it's actually designed to run in 720p, and that's because in 1080p, the game screen is just a little bit bigger than my screen, because, you know, you gotta, where you're seeing things. Basically, it was easier to build the game in 720p than it was in 1080p, so I did. The game is 720p because I'm a lazy asshole. That's the whole reasoning behind it. It's just that. It's true. Like, because when it's 1080p, you have to scroll around a little bit, or you zoom out and everything's just off scale, and I really struggle with it, so I bumped it down to 720p and had a much better time. Having the key bindings to work for different keyboards was something that was very important. And there's a few things I got wrong with this. That some people, like, because if you look down at your keyboard now, you'll have, like, the QAW. Look at your QAW. So it's Q on the furthest left, in the middle is an A, and then you go back up for the W. Some people actually have, like, their row shifted. I have no idea. I didn't know that was a thing. It must be some country that does it. Like, their rows are slightly shifted. I should have had a fix for that, and I didn't. I didn't know that was a thing until people, like, a very few amount of people were like, hey, that's a problem. Which is a bit, but, you know, we'll work through the problem. The other bit of feedback I got was there was, like, red and green is a type of color blindness, so I can't tell the difference, which is why there's a colorblind mode, which if you turn it on, turns the red ones to blue. Because apparently green-blue is a lot easier to contrast than. That's weird. That's like colorblind people, you're weird. But that apparently is something that they'd see roughly the same, and that's something that looks different, which is cool. It was like a 2 hour to implement this, make the menu, color all these things in. Just 2 hour fix and everybody can play the game. Like 4.5% more people can play the game. Awesome fix. I'll try and keep a thinky about colorblind mode in the future. If you're one of the very first people to download this game, color will be spelt wrong there. And that's the English spelling of color, actually, because I knew it spelt wrong, because I had it the English spelling here and like the American spelling here, and some people pointed out that I'd spelt the English one wrong. I'm like, no, there's a U in color. Yeah, something. I was trying to think of a word with U in it that has something else. Like S's and Z's as well, like magazine has an S in it in the UK and a Z in it in America, and I always go for UK spelling because that's what my stuff autocorrects to, because I can't spell. And full screen windowed worked fine. That's basically all Construct 2 stuff. If I click that, it's like, make go full screen. Which is nice and simple. Nothing else to really talk about here. This was a bitch to get going. Like, this one's quite simple, because if you're on this one, it just swaps the Z and the Y around, which is a nice simple fix. On the AZERTY keyboard, like, one of the keys is over a bit more. Like, they have a key under the under your P, where your P would be. I'll show you that later. There's an extra key added, and that was an absolute arse to get working and moved over. And there's some credits. I built the game. Rebecca Mon, who is my new... she works for us now. We're going to be doing a lot of games. Games are now a big thing. So, woo! If you like this one, good, because we're going to try and release one every few months. Like, of this sort of scale game. Actually, to be perfectly honest, the next one's smaller. The other one after that is bigger. But she's down, like, full-on artist. She's a programmer and artist, and that's awesome. So, if you like the art in this game, great, because... She's gonna be there. Like, I really love concept art. You know when you see, like, concept art for a game, you're like, wow, that concept art's amazing, and the game just looked kind of bland. I kind of wanted to make the concept art into the game, so that's what I'll be doing. That's sort of the art style we're technically going for, is concept art, because it always looks cooler than what comes out, which is weird. It's a bit strange, but that's a real thing. Music by Kevin MacLeod, as everything is. The Nerd³ theme, Dan Paul, and it was built in Construct 2, which I seriously recommend. I have no programming skill whatsoever. Did I just see something move then? Hang on. Oh no. Sometimes there's a few of the stars that still move. You can actually sort of see that there's a few things missing if you go in places. There's like where the credits sit, there may be a few things missing. There may have been some filling in of dots because I accidentally photoshopped some stuff out at some point. You didn't need to know that, and now you won't be able to unsee it. But that's fine. Right, that's all the thingies. Let's go play. And we jump right into the game. I really like the look. I like the hand-drawn look. It's a nifty little look. So, you basically mash the keys to what corresponds on here. Originally, all the keys had letters on. I will say that. All the keys did have letters on, but the game just wasn't fun. Like, the joy of this game is that panic when you're not quite sure what key to press. It does make the game a lot harder. And the other one, everyone was just blitzing through it. So it's a lot. I'm playing this one-handed, which is so broken. I shouldn't be doing that. It was kind of odd. It was an odd fix to turn off the keys. I was like, is this ever actually going to work? I don't know. But it did, and it worked fantastically well. It's a really hard game. I was about to say, really hard game to play while not thinking, because I'm not paying attention to where all the buttons are. The reason a lot of people ask, why do F and J go off more? Oh god, that's a J and that's an F. F and J are the buttons that go off the most, and are the ones that if we push space to restart, are always on. They are always on. Because F and J, if you have a fondle of your keyboard now, have the little bubbles on. So that means your index finger and your left hand and right hand sit on them nicely, and then you can reach all the buttons for it. It's what touch typists use. So this game was... I brought in a few principles of touch typing just so you'd be able to focus on where they are. So you have a 3 gap and then the 1, and then there's a 2 gap on the right, and then there's your J. Just so you always have that slight placement. So it just keeps your fingers coming back to the same places, and it just... That was my fix for not having the letters, was if I make F and J go off a lot more, then you'll be able to keep your hands just a little bit closer together. Everything else is randomized. There's a little bit too much randomization in this game, actually. I went overboard on some bits. Like, it's randomization within, like, parameters, because I didn't want, like, total randomization. So, like, the number of people on board, it completely randomizes a number, but it's between, like, 10 and 1, and the further you get in the game, the numbers change. Whoops-a-daisies. The numbers change the further you get on into the game. And if you cock up, everything goes a little bit faster. Like, the easiest this game is when you have all of your lives. If you make one mistake, it starts getting harder and harder, and the timers get faster, and it takes longer for people to get out. So it's an absolute dick of a game. Oh, it's so hard to play with while talking. This is not a YouTubing game. But feel free to make videos if you fancy it. Whoops, pushed the wrong button. That was my bad. These keys never clicked in. They were static until like the very, very last minute. These grey keys. I like them static, but you didn't know where you were going wrong, and to fix it, especially in the earlier bits, you needed that. So I kind of liked them static, but it was wrong. I made a lot of mistakes in this game. This is why I quite like having Rebecca to bounce off of, because she is fantastic at art and game design. There are a few things that are actually fixed by other people, because there was like an early version that went out to a few people, a few game devs, and I was like, what? Tell me everything that's wrong, please. Whoop, 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 and whoop, and whoop. I have finished this. I finished this many, many times. Oh, crap. Oh, made a mistake! And couldn't correct it in time. I used to do that with Elite Beat Agents as well. So this screen originally would just say game over and press space to restart. It was Mike Bithell of Thomas Was Alone, and coming up soon, Volume. His feedback was you've got to have tell the people on there, otherwise you don't see it because it's on the little clock. That was the stupidest thing that I missed. That was ridiculously stupid to miss. But no, that was great feedback. I'm very happy that we got that, because that compels you to keep going. It was my idea to make it you failed to save, not how many you did save, because it's a dark as shit game in sort of a really light way. So having the screens, the original plan for the screens was actually, it was just lights, and it was the keyboard was taking up the whole thing, and then the screens were sort of kind of bundled up over here, and like they was all bundled along the top on the original art. We had them all sort of bundled along the top, and then I had an idea of having 3 along here, and then having like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to play this one-handed, and then having these ones sort of like stacked on top of each other, but getting the perspective of that was really quite tricky, because the perspective is slightly pissed with. It's not a perfectly straight perspective. if you stare too closely at something, she'll be like, oh, that makes no sense, and your brain will implode. But it works the way it works now. I like how it looks now. The hardest thing was trying to get this bloody counter to look 3D. That was a last-minute thing. These little bits on the side have been added to the counter design. They're actually stuck on the back. They were really, really, really hard to get right. Like that. Can't play this too much. Little coffee stain was quite nice. Actually drawn by Rebecca. Like, everything you can see, oh, fuck that, was drawn by Rebecca, apart from the numbers, which are broken slightly and are done with text. Done with font, like calling fonts. And I'll explain why they're broken in a second. And the little bits of grit I added last second, because it just looked a little bit too clean. Yeah, that wasn't the best. It looks, I like that it looks gritty. When it was clean, it just looked a little bit, I don't know, I just needed that something a little bit else. We had a few extra bits to sit on the back that we deleted. Fuck this. We had a few bits sitting on the back that we deleted, like there was a speaker and stuff like that. I just couldn't get it to look right. I couldn't light it right, especially when everything goes to shit like that. Everything had to look nice and bright. It was, yeah. This is because we didn't have time to animate this window. I wanted, like, I needed an animation for this was originally going to be bars and stuff as well, and we couldn't get the curves on them to look right. They look really crap. So eventually just systems nominal, and then when you cock up, systems error, systems warning, systems danger, and then it explodes. I'd like having spaces restart. That was a sort of a split complaint from some people. Some people really like that they'd be going wrong and whatever, and they could brace to restart at any time. Other people really hate it because they hit it by accident. I've never hit it by accident, I don't think. Maybe once or twice, but it's sort of, I like being able to just restart any time. I like going, oh, this is awful, and just restarting. I like that. Some people didn't. I suppose you could just blow yourself up, but sometimes it's better to restart. Oh, the shake hat stays going. Oh, I should have stopped that. Whoops. Never mind, that shake's also slightly off. You can see, look, with the black there, to make the white big enough. So there's little animations on here that were an absolute bitch to get right. Like, originally I was trying to be, like, really nice and optimized and make them so there was the thing, like the little guy that runs past here holding the pistol zooms on past. But it, no, I couldn't get it working. It was too many layers to dick with. It just didn't work. In the end, these are actually just animated GIFs. Not GIFs, they're animations that play. They're sprites, they're sprite sheets. Whoops. I need to talk about this one, so I have to blow myself up. There's a tiny spaceship that flies past here. If it's friendly or not, who knows. I deliberately didn't write a lot of story, because I originally was going to do lots of storytelling and stuff. It just didn't... nothing really... I don't know. Nothing was gained by it, really, by telling the story. And I've seen loads of people making story up themselves, so awesome that spanned that off. The warp core has a little glow to it, which is a very Star Trek-like warp core, which I love. It has that nice little glow to it. That's just a Photoshop glow appearing behind it. And this is just a pause screen, because we really ran out of time. There was I can't yet say why this had a deadline. It had a deadline that we hit. Like, the whole game was pretty much... we sort of had ideas, and we sort of had a basic working prototype, and then we just sort of hit it for 3 days straight and finished it off. So it's only like a 3-day game. So it wasn't a huge project. It's just that's all the time I have in between the rest of me YouTubing. The next one's going to be a little bit smaller, probably about another like 2-day game. But the one off that is going to be about a week to build, I think. Of actual doing it like full. When I say a full work day, I mean like from when you get up till 4 in the morning, then you get up at 6 to start the next day. Sort of. I work long hours. It's fun. I'm still playing this one-handed, which is awful for my placement, but it's the early levels, so you can. This little panel here was originally supposed to explode. I didn't push that button in time. Whoops, my bad. Yeah, this panel here was originally supposed to blow up when you got to this bit, but it looked wrong, because there was an explosion happening here, and it just looked like this bit needed something, so just having that one go off worked a bit better. Having a screen crack was a fun idea. This smoke particle I built by accident, and then was like, oh, that's awesome. As you can see, people sort of leave slightly less people now. It's a slightly less thing if you go right down to the last life. All the systems come online. That was actually a glitch. I made a mistake in my programming, but it looks awesome having them all come online, because you've got like your few and you're struggling, and then you do that and they just go and all come at once, and that looks, there's that little pause before as well. It's complete fuck up, but I like that. Another complete fuck up is the sound. I'll reset. The sound of them going red isn't supposed to be like that. It's a file that's like infinite looping. It's supposed to be sort of a dial tone. that sort of ooh, that isn't supposed to be going like that, but I really liked it. It's supposed to just be sort of a blip a sound, but I like it. It sounds like a warning. The only downside is some sound cards it breaks. That's the thing about if I was charging this game, I would make that sound and replace it. The fact this game was free made me go, you know what? I don't have to fix that yet. I've got limited time. I can fix other things. Although I will probably patch it at some point. I didn't really want to... I wanted to make the game like as polished as possible when it came out. I didn't want to just be like, oh, I'll patch that, and I'll patch this, I'll patch this. The only real problems I had was like getting Linux testers, because there is a Linux version, but I don't get how Linux works, so they had to do some stuff with that. Yeah, if you want the Linux version, you have to do a bit of work to get it working, because it's something I don't think I can fix this side. I'm not sure. I don't know Linux. I've never used Linux. Most people going, it's pronounced Linux. Some people, is it Linux or Linux? I have no idea. The static, I made that crappy looking TV static just using Photoshop. Just render clouds, blur them, fuzz them, do all that sort of thing with them. If there's ever an effect like that, it's mostly just I've bolted it together in Photoshop. If it looks nice, then it was done by Rebecca. That's how you can tell. I love the fact that all the monitors are different. That's a great little touch that she added. All the monitors look different. And because the aesthetic we wanted for the spaceship was sort of like... I didn't want like the actual... Fuck it, there's a lie, because the original ideas I had was something like L-Cars-like, and you were doing this sort of like that's the OS from Star Trek, from like all the Star Trek, like Next Generation onwards. And I wanted something that looked kind of like that and was sleek lines and black and curvy and stuff. And then Rebecca did a bit of art of something that looked more like out of an Aliens film, and it just... I love this look so much, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous. Ah, crap. Love it to bits, and we end up going this way. So, yeah. Oh, crap. Having the little keys click in is just the best looking and sounding thing. Like, it's so close to, like, real time as well. Like, the amount of frame, like, the amount of, like, your processing power is just making these click in nice. It's very nice. That's one thing I really like about the game. Having the different sizes on these, being the exact same thing meant that they all animate in the same way. I couldn't squish down the code far enough, was one problem I had with it. Like, I did do a fairly large amount of optimization. I mean, the game only uses, like, 80 megabytes of RAM, and it's like a 23 megabyte download, I believe, for the Windows version. I don't quite remember yet. So it's a really slim game, so optimization wasn't a huge problem unless you're trying to play it on, like, an Apple II or something. But, yeah, I tried to slim it down. Like, actually, to be perfectly honest, one of the animations that we had... oh, I'll show you what animation is, if it's still there. Yeah, see that animation there? You hit play, whoop. That is most of the game. There's like a weird bug in Constructo that if you have these big frames that animate, they go really, really wrong, really, really fast. So, like this one as well, that explosion was huge. I had to really drag that down. Just make the screen go white, because that was adding like megabytes and megabytes. Like, it was like 400 megabytes of RAM this game was taking up just because that animation was in it. I don't know why. I never worked it out. I ended up really butchering this down. That's why it's only like 3 frames. Because it was originally like a 60 FPS smooth thing. I could have probably just worked out a way of like doing it with... So I found out that that's a thing. That's a very important thing in games. Is instead of animating it, it's harder to do, but it's always a lot better to do like in-game stuff. Like if I could actually make this dude run past in-game, it would take up a lot less space. But fuck it. Because it was an 80 megabyte game, and sometimes I just don't care. I like this thing ticking down. I like that if you get to 10, it's only ticking down 2. If you're on 1, it ticks down 1. It looks really nice. But I don't like the fact that the font's just slightly different from it, because the font, depending on which version you're playing, is actually slightly off. Again, it's a bug of the system that I will be able to fix when I budge over to like Unity or just straight programming and stuff, which is the eventual plans for things. But if you go, hang on, we'll jump over to endless mode very quickly. Oh, the high-pitched whine didn't leave that time. See, this one, when I tick something over, will jump massively, and they're on the exact same place on both, but for some reason this one just jumps up. It's like the font is lower down. I can see that the font is lower down, and I raise it up, and it just doesn't quite go in the right place, which is irritating. Very quickly back to this. There's a few extra points to point out. When you hit 100 people left on board, like 400 people and then 100 people, the sound gets quieter and then turns off of the sound effects of the gunfire and stuff. So when there's only 100 people on board, you can't actually hear anyone. And when you're on this mode, there's no music. The music cuts out. and you just have that warning and there's a fiery sound effect playing. It's just to add a little bit more tension, because you've got that music, and that music becomes quite a comfort, and taking that away it just ramped the tension up a little bit more than, like, not having it. I like that. I think that worked well. Right, let's go to the endless mode. This isn't my actual save file, because I got a way higher score than that, but it's fine. We'll live. I'll be able to beat my high score this time. Hooray! High score of 64. So the endless mode, it swaps out the thingy to say score. In fact, there's a whole new background, because I couldn't just get that one little bit to work properly. Like, most of the times I fix a game, I just couldn't get it to work properly, and I was like, oh, bodge it, let's just bodge it together. If I was building a proper game, I wouldn't be able to do that. Otherwise you get something like Assassin's Creed Unity, I suppose. I understand now why. You can see now, if you notice it, these two in the middle, the F and the J, go off way more than anything else, just to keep your hands in the right place. Good bit of music, Kevin Weird. It's sort of spacey. The two that I use from him, the opening theme and this one. I was afraid that the first one's in Kerbal, because Kerbal Space Program uses his music as well, and I wasn't entirely sure if they did or they didn't. But it's beautiful music. Great music. Absolutely love it. Right, I'm gonna try and play this properly for a few seconds because there's not much else to say. This was the game. I wanted to make something that involved the whole keyboard because I think that's a really cool idea. Because I like games that involve a little bit more. The next game I think will be like a one-button game, which will be. I don't know if I want to say anymore. I'm doing it sort of my own. Whoopsie-daisies. Maybe a sort of a redo of something else. Maybe I'm doing a spiritual successor to a game that I've played before. Sort of ish, you know, ish. But the next, it's a small project. I just want a little small project to bide me over, just while I get sort of back here after the old Christmas holidays, and then we'll do another. Whoops-a-daisies. Nice. Big one. That is the fun of this game. When you have to go, and you have to try and work out where you got to hit everything. These appear a lot faster when you, oh god, when you cock them up. Shit. I'm dead. I'm so dead. This is a fucking irritating bug, and I have no idea what causes it. Sometimes the game freezes up just to play this explosion sound effect. It will come back in a few seconds. It'll be like, there you go. You died. It's completely random. I have no idea what's doing that. I've looked so hard to work out what is causing that bug. Because it doesn't always happen. It's so irritating. I wonder if it's a certain bit of the music, if it's when there's a certain sound effect playing. Maybe it's waiting for a sound effect to finish. I know it turns sound effects off when that explodes. Wasn't that sound effect? I don't know what's causing that bug. I've tried switching in and out sound effects. I've tried changing the music, taking the music off, being different volumes. It is, as far as I can tell, entirely random. And that is the worst part about making games. The cool part, all these sound effects, like, this game was made on a budget of, like, nothing. Like, almost literally no money. And it shows. No. I think it looks gorgeous. I love the drawn look. But all the music, all the sound effects, everything is all public domain free stuff. It's good. It's awesome. The things you can sort of find online that feel like, yeah, free stuff. Just put us in the credits. Or sometimes even not. It's just like, here's some free stuff. And I'm giving out free stuff. I'm perpetuating free stuff. And you can make YouTube videos with it. And you can monetize your YouTube videos with it. You can make money from my free stuff. Go freaking nuts! Just don't sell my free stuff or my lawyers will headbutt you in the face. Whoops, wrong one. Shit. See, I played this enough to know that when you push the wrong one, it just goes so wrong. Just goes so wrong. I like this. This came out better than I actually expected it. Even when it was like How to Job. Even when it was How to Job and it was like the game that I was like, I'm so excited to be making a game, and then it just took forever and it wasn't very good. It's heartbreaking when you're building something and it's not working, but you have to just learn to throw things away. It's the best thing. It's like if a bit of a script isn't working or a joke, never try and just crowbar it in. Always just ditch it if it's not working. You don't even have to entirely ditch it. Just put it to the side, maybe your next project will use it. You know, there's a few ideas from this that I know for a fact are going to go in the game after the little one in the bigger game. I think I might like the bigger game. We're going to put a bit more time into, so it'll probably be a. Hopefully, it'll be possibly. I'm going to go for the sort of the pay what you want model of it. Oh shit! But I will always have free as an option. Like I really want to have free as an option. It's like support me if you want. I honestly just want you to be playing my stuff because I love making this stuff. Shit! 112. See, that time worked absolutely fine. No idea what this stupid bug is. I've never had the bug where it turns off, though, where like all the sound turns off. Some people have reported that. I think that's just the constantly playing sound effect cripples you. There are a few... There's one little... tiny bit in this game which is a bastard. If every time you hit 100, a little code ticks. A little thing ticks off in the code. A little variable's like, hey, every time you hit 100 on the, we'll go through the, whoops, I closed it down. My bad. I'll go through the old, single player bit now. Whoop. So every time you hit 100, where you go beyond 100 here, a little thing ticks off and says, well done, you've done it. Because I knew some people would hack their way in, and cheat. I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. So this is my little anti-cheating device. So every time it drops below 100, the game's like, hey, well done, you've dropped below 100. Which is, it's useful. Because that means if you cheat and you haven't got those ticks, the game doesn't have the proper ending. It's not a spectacular ending. In fact, I will talk about the ending very briefly now. If you want to find the ending yourself, it's not a spectacular ending by any means, but it's an ending I really wanted to do. I've wanted to have like a game do for ages. Then leave now and go play the game yourself. Thank you for watching, but yeah, if you don't want the ending spoiled, feel free to leave now. I'll tell you what, instead of actually playing, I think I've got a dev version somewhere, if you excuse me for 5 seconds. This one, I've got this dev version that starts like a little bit further on. Oh, that's got the high score. High score works between modes. Oh, this just doesn't work, I think. Yeah, see, this one just starts at 100 people. This is my dev version to test it out, because every time I change something, I do want to play the game for however long it takes. That was the first time I hit space by accident. That's because I was waving at the screen with my finger. Right, so when you finish the game, if you... This has all the hooks taken out as well. So if you don't have all the hooks taken out, like, it sets off this infinite loop that will crash the game. It doesn't crash your system. I made sure it wouldn't crash the system, but the game will freeze up, which is quite neat. So the plot twist of this game is, it's quite bastardly, is it ticks down to 1. I removed the animation to tick down to 1, so it sort of jumps like that. So you actually, your eye clocks it as being something different, so you pay attention, and you see that it's 1, and you go, if you're anybody who spoke to me first, you go, oh shit, the game's broken! But no. It's just that there's, it's nobody on board but you. It's you that's on board. And when you eventually do come to that realization, a lot of people I've seen play it, when they eventually do hit every point, they all sort of have the same reaction. It's a nice little gut punch. That's all I really wanted. It's telling a story just through the mechanics you know, and I think that's really important. You'll hear there's none of the crew sound effects playing because we're below 100 now. So now, like, there's no point to playing. Like, if you were playing it for the people trying to get your score down, you've got no real, like, want to carry on, because they've all left. It's just you, all alone, keeping yourself alive, and you don't have long enough. So when it explodes, they'll never forget what you did today, instead of the usual text of, you failed to save this many people. Which I like. I think that works. I think it's a little hammy, maybe, in the writing, but I think that's not the... That could have been worse. That could have been worse. I was quite happy with how that came out. I think it worked quite well. And then you unlock the endless mode, because I did want to give some reward for finishing it. Like, for actually finishing it, because that, as much as that's a gut punch, and then, oh. But if you've played the game enough to learn how it works enough, you really want to play a little bit more, so I gave you just the endless mode there for the people who haven't done it, so you can jump into endless mode. And there's all the sound effects playing again. Hello. I was about to say, are they working? Yes, it appears they are. But yes, I'll stop talking. That was a very long explanation of some of the stuff in Systems Nominal. I hope you guys enjoyed the game, really, because I really fucking dig making games. I think it's awesome fun. I hope it was something a little different. I hope it was something you weren't expecting. Yeah, I think it was good fun. The next one is a little bit silly, and the one after that they're a little lighter. I don't think we're going to go as dark as Systems Nominal for a while. But who knows? I mean, I've already said that this one was some game about a dude just running around an office doing comedy things. Like each letter was going to correspond with like a thing you were doing in there. So like Q was if you pushed A, you'd Q for the bathroom, and W was work. Oh, just general work, and then like R was you. I don't know. I can't remember the stuff. Oh no, W was water cooler. You'd go and talk at the water cooler, and B was go visit the boss and stuff like that. Which was nice. Oh, hang on a second. One final thing. Sit down. I'll show you the Azerty mode key bindings, because I said I'd do this. Boop. So in Azerty mode, you see we have this extra key over here. A key from here budges over. It was such an arse to do that. It's the It's the M key. That's M. That's L is there, and then K. So it sort of goes over, but you have just this extra M key that sits over there. And so QWERTY looks like this. It's mostly similar, but you've got these two just sort of in the... That's Q and W there, and ANZ are there. Plus the extra one on the side. Anyway, that's Systems Nominal. Oh, another thing. Fuck. I will let you leave in a minute. I just wanted to get all of this done in one go. Let's put it back there. Like, European keyboards have extra letters on the side. Like, some European places have, like, extra letters here, here, and here. And I originally planned to, like, do that for everyone and have all their proper letters sort of sitting here. But it just meant, like, if you were from a place that had more than 26 letters, you got a harder game. And so some people... I kind of wanted to have sort of dummy buttons that never activated instead, but it sort of looked wrong and some people were getting confused. So I eventually settled on just not showing them, and that also threw some people off. So sorry, people with European keyboards, I made the game a little bit harder for you no matter what I did, because it's not what you're used to. When you're trying to build a game, make sure that make sure you don't make it for a whole keyboard, because it's an absolute arse to get running. Anyway, Systems Nominal. Loved making it. Hope you love playing it. Thank you very much for watching, and ta-ra.
To the domain of the Nerd³ videos dropping from above like bird poo. Enter the domain of the Nerd³ videos dropping from above like bird